Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, hey, you already know what's up. What's that, another home run? We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome, episode 537, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you. It is December 12th, 2023. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. A couple more free agents came off the board today, and it is relevant because one was a former Padre and the other was someone that the Padres were targeting. Seth Lugo going to the Kansas City Royals, Jung-hoo Lee going to the San Francisco Giants. Where do the Padres turn to next? That's what I want to discuss here with you all today. If you're live, you can join the show clicking that link that's pinned up at the top of the chat. You can contribute in the comment section, comments, questions. You can use that super chat button if you want to support the show. Make sure I get your comment or your question. It guarantees that. So I appreciate anyone that is generous enough and to take the time to do that. So, yeah, I mean, we can talk about Shohei Ohtani, obviously. Like, we can get into the contract deferral stuff. I put out a video yesterday, and there was a lot of different views, I think, on that subject. So I'm sure that there's going to be comments and questions on that. So I'll get to that eventually. But what I wanted to start off with was Jung-hoo Lee going to the San Francisco Giants. We knew that the Giants were interested. We knew that the Padres were interested. But the Giants give him 6 years, $113 million. Opt out after 4 years. I'm assuming that's the player opt out. That option is going to be for Jung-hoo Lee there. But yeah, so much for Ha-Seong Kim having that friendship and for Ha-Seong Kim helping Jung-hoo Lee out with the transition to the big leagues. He ended up helping out a San Francisco Giant. That's just the way it seems like this offseason's going. Peter Seidler passes away. Ohtani signs with the Dodgers. Soto gets traded during the season. Clubhouse seemed like a wreck, at least according to reports. Bob Melvin goes to the Giants. They miss the postseason. Just a lot of things. Lose the TV deal. A lot of things have not gone right for the Padres here in 2023. And 2023, at least Padres-wise, can't end soon enough because it seems like it's just, Jeff Passman was on the Darren Smith show and described it as punch in the face, kick in the nuts this last week. And really, it's been this whole season, this whole year, this whole offseason. So where do the Padres turn to next? I mean, I'll get to that. But first, Jung-hoo Lee here with 6 years, $113 million. Yeah, the Padres should not be paying that to Jung-hoo Lee, a guy that's never been in the big leagues before. And I'm not going to sit here and tear down Jung-hoo Lee and say and act like I never wanted him. I would have been interested in getting Jung-hoo Lee. I would have been interested in getting him at like $50 million, not 113. So as I said the other day about Jung-hoo Lee, the Padres, they needed to have a number that they weren't going to go over, and that's exactly what happened here. It seemed like the Padres, they had a number that they were comfortable going in, and the Giants passed that way much, at least what I'm assuming. I don't think that the Padres, their number was like $100 million to Jung-hoo Lee. I assume that their number was closer to, 50 to maybe $80 million for Jung-hoo Lee, but not way up there like the San Francisco Giants. But, good for the Giants, I guess. It's a big risk. It's a guy that's never hit big league pitching before consistently, obviously in the major leagues. He probably did the WBC, but not consistently at the big league level. He's coming off of an ankle injury. You're giving this guy 6 guaranteed years if he wants it, over $100 million. Oracle Park, that's not like a great hitter's ballpark, and he's not someone that is known for his power. So it might end up working because he can hit for average and it still works, but is he going to be hitting over 300 in the big leagues every year? I don't think so. And for the Giants, I thought that they wanted like a superstar. Jung-hoo Lee could be that. That's going to bring in some, Korean fans, obviously, but that's not Matt Chapman, at least for, Giants fans. I think more people would show up for Matt Chapman day one than for Jung-hoo Lee. It's not Cody Bellinger. It's obviously not Shohei Ohtani. The Giants, what they could be doing is getting Jung-hoo Lee, and then they spend big on a pitcher, Yamamoto or Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery, someone like that. Marcus Stroman's out there still. I mean, I don't want to just say still. There's tons of free agents out there. I mean, Shohei Ohtani, he held up the free agent market waiting to make this decision. Over 90% of these free agents, I think, are still available. I think I was listening to Foul Territory earlier today because Kyle Higashioka was on that show. Higgy made his first comments there as a Padre, at least publicly on video. So it's good to hear from him. But yeah, there's the Giants could be going, they could go get a big hitter. They could go add another bat. I mean, they were trying to go sign Aaron Judge. They wanted Giancarlo Stanton years and years and years ago. I think that they wanted Bryce Harper as well. Carlos Correa, they landed, and then the physical happened. And I don't know if that was the doctor saying, no, 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 you can't sign him to a long-term deal, or it was the Giants doctor saying, I don't really like this physical, but go ahead if you want to. Giants may be using that as an opportunity to get out of that contract because that was a lot of money that they were going to be giving to Carlos Correa. But bottom line, they don't have a face of their franchise. I don't think Jung-hoo Lee steps in right there and is like, okay, that's the face of the franchise. He's not on Shohei Ohtani's level. So I think people would still point to Bob Melvin as like their face, or Logan Webb, because they just don't have anyone right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Giants. But yeah, for the Padres, I'm not pissed off that they missed out on Jung-hoo Lee. Looking at the price like this, I mean, $113 million, 6 years for Jung-hoo Lee, when it's not a guarantee that he can help you like immediately offensively as much as he did in Korea at the big league level. And the Padres, they're trying to win right now. I think the Giants could say, well, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. Sure, you bring in Bob Melvin, you're trying to win, but the Padres, AJ Preller, this could be his last year as the president of baseball operations, the GM of this team, because who knows how Eric Kutsenda, Eric Grutner, these guys feel about AJ Preller. I can guarantee you they don't like AJ Preller as much as Peter Seidler liked AJ Preller. So AJ's on the clock here. So I'm very curious to see what happens. But I think this could end up being a good thing for the Padres. They're not overpaying for someone that hasn't played at the big league level before. And he didn't have the hype as someone like Shohei Ohtani, where it felt like Shohei Ohtani, it was going to work one way or the other. We didn't know it was going to work both ways, pitching and hitting, but we knew it was going to work one of the ways when he came over from Japan. Here, I feel like it's more of a question mark. But now this can allow the Padres to go get someone that's not on a long-term deal, take a little bit smaller of a risk, someone that's faced big league pitching before, someone like Kevin Kiermaier, or they can go make a trade. There's someone like Max Kepler out there that's available via trade from the Minnesota Twins. Maybe someone like Anthony Santander from the Baltimore Orioles. I saw Luis Robert Jr. in the chat. I don't know about that. I don't think the White Sox want to give him up. I think Eloy Jimenez is more doable, but he's not great defensively. I think he profiles more as a DH bat. So, there's free agents still out there, and, free agents in left field, someone that can play the corners. There's guys out there, Jorge Soler or Teoscar Hernandez, but I don't know how much money the Padres want to give per year to a guy. I just know that maybe them missing out on Jung-hoo Lee, maybe it's a positive because Jung-hoo Lee may not end up working out. And that's a long-term deal the Giants just put themselves in. And the Padres didn't do that. So this could end up being a good thing for the Padres. We shall see. I don't want to bash the Giants totally on doing this because they did need to make a move. They needed outfield help. Congrats to them for landing Jung-hoo Lee. If the Padres landed Lee, yeah, it would have been interesting. I would have been entertained by it. Cool. It's one of the outfielders. Let's see how he does. Kim and the Lee relationship, interesting. He can play center field. If it doesn't work, he can play left. But now maybe the Padres can make some trades here, bring in some smaller salary guys so that they can spend more on starting pitching, some other areas on the roster. So we shall see. But yeah, Jung-hoo Lee goes to the San Francisco Giants. And then Seth Lugo going to the Kansas City Royals. That was on a 2 years guaranteed. Lugo can opt out, I believe, after year 2. 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year. I gave my reaction to this earlier in a video here on the YouTube channel, so you can check that out if you haven't already. The Padres, I mean, I think this is pretty telling. Seth Lugo, maybe that's an overpay. 3 years, $45 million for Seth Lugo. But, I mean, that was kind of in line with the club options that was there for Nick Martinez and Michael Wacha. And that was put into those guys' contracts. And the Padres didn't take them. I understand that. But it was put in there. So the Padres going into those contracts were maybe willing to take those club options. And Lugo, would they have taken it with Seth Lugo? I don't think so, just because it's the money situation. What this shows me is, because $15 million per year, I don't think that's outrageous for Seth Lugo coming off of this past year. Seemed like a team guy. He could help in the rotation. He didn't have arm issues. That was the big question with Seth. But he proved that he could be a starting pitcher this past season. So now he goes to Kansas City, and he definitely gets a rotation spot. We'll see what can happen there. But that's another guy that the Padres have to replace. You could say that, well, they already replaced Seth Lugo with Michael King. Okay, but you have to You have to replace Michael Wacha. You have to replace Blake Snell, the Cy Young Award winner from this past year. Musgrove or Darvish, maybe one of those guys ends up replacing Snell and ends up contending for a Cy Young. But I'm talking about bodies in the rotation. I'm not counting Pedro Avila. I'm not counting on him to be the 5-starter the entire season in this rotation. I'm sorry. The Padres need more depth than what they have right now. Like, that's just the bottom line. So who could be available? If we before getting I should have probably went over the outfielders first, but just some free agent guys on the outfield market. Cody Bellinger is a name, and I just want to say this right now. So the Padres obviously missing out on Jung-hoo Lee, big contract, well over $100 million. If the Padres weren't going to give Jung-hoo Lee that, why should we think they're going to give Cody Bellinger double that? Because that's what I think he and his agent are asking for, is $200+ million. There are other teams out there like the Toronto Blue Jays that missed out on Shohei Ohtani that actually were willing to give him a lot of money to come to their team. The Padres were never in it. Those teams are desperate. Those teams might be willing to pay Cody Bellinger $200+ million. Who in their right mind thinks the Padres are going to be paying $200+ million or anywhere close to that to Cody Bellinger when he had one good season here and the 3 years before that were not? The years before that were good, but what about 3 years in between? Like if they're going to spend big, it needs to be someone that's consistent. And by the way, they're not going to spend big this offseason. I just don't see that happening. They have a bunch of holes on this roster, limited resources, even with the Soto trade, because if you look at the payroll right now, the room that they have to get to 200 is a different number than the room they have to get to the $237 million luxury tax number on Spot Track. If you go look at Spot Track, projected total tax allocations right now is almost $204 million. So to get to the 237 number, that's less money that they have in terms of room per year wise than they have if you look at the payroll, what it looks like right now. Let's say it's 165 and you get to 200. Okay, you have room there. You have, over $40 million in room. That's not the case if I'm reading it right, at least, if you look at the projected total tax allocations. So there's not a ton of room, bunch of holes, couple outfielders, hopefully a couple starters, a bat, high leverage reliever. Like there's some stuff that needs to happen here for this Padres team, and they're not going to be spending, or at least I hope not. They're not going to be spending $200 million or even 150, in my opinion. They're not going to spend $150 million plus on Cody Bellinger, who could be good one year and then not be good another. If they're going to spend money on someone, it needs to be more consistent. At least Xander Bogaerts, you look at him offensively going into this past offseason, he was consistent at the plate for the most part with the Boston Red Sox, average-wise, home run-wise. Like, you knew who Xander Bogaerts was. I mean, 2021, well, let's go back to 2019 with Xander. 2019, 155 games. He ends up hitting over 300. 2020 hits 300. 2021 hits 295. 2022 hits 307. That's going into the offseason. The Padres gave him the contract, right? Like, that's consistency there. If we go look at someone like Cody Bellinger that I saw on social media earlier today, some Padres fans mentioning Cody Bellinger's name, and I just don't see it happening. I think it would be dumb for the Padres to put Cody Bellinger on a big long-term deal. You look at him since 2019. Okay, an all-star, hit 305, great, MVP. But then in 2020, hit 239. Average isn't everything, but I'm just showing that number because of the consistency. I mean, the OPS and average will correlate. OPS down, average down. That's just the way it is. 2020, I know it's a short season, but hit 239. Had a full season in 2021, but only played 95 games, hit 165, 44 OPS plus. 2022, hit 210, and then this past season hit 307. So, it's just the inconsistency there. So I'd rather spend, $7-8 million, maybe even $10 million on a 1-year outfielder to play center, to play left, than to spend $200 million on someone like Cody Bellinger, to spend over $100 million on someone like Jung-hoo Lee, who is unproven at the big league level, doesn't have power, could develop it, but he's coming off of an ankle injury, more like hit for average, but we know the average is probably going to go down because he's facing major league pitchers, which is harder than KBO pitchers. So I think that's what the Padres plan should be, is acquire guys, whether trade, free agency, that are on short-term deals, not on these long-term deals. The long-term deals, you better be sure that this guy's the real deal if you're going to be giving this person a long-term deal. If you're going to be acquiring someone on a contract that's on a long-term deal, that's not like a rookie contract. That's like actually an actual big contract. And the Padres, I just don't see how they have room with that. So, yeah, that's my thought. Cody Bellinger, that's a no for me. I'm out on that one. We can let the Toronto Blue Jays, another team like that, go get Cody Bellinger. All right, I see Mateo. He is in here. He wants to join the show. What's up, Mateo? How's it going, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. So I'm sitting here in Detroit. I'm a huge Padres fan. Sitting here in Detroit, wondering what happened to this team. I'm trying to figure out what went wrong. Was the Bogarts signing necessary when we addressed a position that didn't need to be addressed and forked over? I don't remember his contract. I love Xander, I do, but now look at the position we're in. I don't know. I don't feel super comfortable. I know we still got a great team, but I don't know. I mean, couldn't we have just added some position, like just even rental players like just Waka and Lugo and guys like something like that? Did we have to go after the kill when we came so close to getting to the World Series to begin with? Did we need to go? I'm just trying to figure out what went wrong. Like, I mean, to not even make then we do sign a big name, and then we don't even make the playoffs the following year.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, Xander, I think, this is nothing like personally against Xander Bogaerts. This is the first year of a long contract. If we got offered $280 million from a team that just made it to the NLCS, like, we would have taken it too, when we know that no other team is going to come close to that. Like, it's not against Xander. It's just that he was the guy that the Padres gave this money to when Soto, extension possibility, free agency. If it's not extension, that's coming up. When they acquired Soto, if they wanted to have Soto long term, all of their moves should have been with that thought in mind. Is this going to help us keep Soto long term? Is this going to make sense for when this ends up coming up? And I understand like the thought process. If okay, let's get another star. Let's go all in for 2023. Make the lineup as good as possible. We don't know about Soto. Let's go guarantee another star in Xander Bogaerts, and we'll worry about it later. Assuming we'll make the postseason, we'll have a TV deal, but all that didn't happen, and now they're where they're at right now. And financially right now, like I think not just the Bogaerts thing, but the way that Preller had structured the contracts with someone like Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, Nick Martinez, giving all of these options. Loves the options, and maybe that's the only way that these players would have come to the Padres. I don't really believe that, but maybe that's why they like the flexibility. But okay, if you suck, you can stay. If you're really good, you can opt out and then go get a $45 million contract that we can't pay for with another team in free agency. It's little stuff like that where it's like, all right, now you got to work Ruben Niebla. You got to overwork him because now it's like, all right, we got to fill out, 3/5 of the rotation again. Now you got to work your magic with these new guys that you're going to bring in. No idea who they're going to be. Is it going to be Jack Flaherty? Is it going to be someone that we've never heard of? Who knows? Are you going to have to make magic work with Pedro Avila, your 5-starter all year long? So it's little things that add up for sure. And now we're just questioning, where are they going to go pitching wise? Where are they going to go outfield wise, bat wise? I mean, I like parts of the lineup, but that can definitely improve. And there's just not a ton of flexibility. There's more flexibility with the Soto deal, but just not as much as I think maybe some Padres fans thought we were going to have because of the luxury tax. Like, the luxury tax is the big part of this, not just, $200 million payroll. Well, you got to factor in the AAV as well.
So with that said, do you think Cronenworth's being shopped?
Yes. Yeah. I don't think he's going to get dealt. I would be I would be probably more shocked than just surprised if he got dealt because of the contract. And he's coming off of it's not like he's coming off of a great season. He's coming off of a down year where he went and played first base and his value went down and then he didn't hit. And then he's coming off of an injury. And what are the Padres going to want back in a deal? They're not going to want to eat some of the salary. They're not going to want guys playing in single A for Cronenworth. They're going to want probably guys that can help at the big league level because Cronenworth is someone in the past and pretty recently, back to 2022, that really helped this team advance all the way to the NLCS. So I think the Padres probably would overvalue Cronenworth in these trade talks. And I just don't see him being moved. But yeah, they're going to listen and they might be saying to reporters, yeah, we're listening. They might be shopping him. Who the heck knows? Because it gives them more flexibility. And right now, if you ask them, would you rather have Crony long term or Kim? The answer is Kim. But you can't go back. You can't go back. You can't go back from the Bogarts contract. You just got to make the best of the situation that they're in.
And so I don't know this. Where's Kim at on his contract? Is his final year? Or?
One more year. Yep, 2024. That's it.
All right. Well, yeah. It's all. Just to recap, I love Xander. I love it. But could we have kept Soto if we didn't do that move? Would we be in better shape now? We've still lost all of our pitching by keeping Soto.
Yeah. Maybe we should have deferred the Soto extension. Defer it. Pay him. $20 million a year till he's like 70 because that's like legal. So
yeah.
Yeah.
God. All right, man. I appreciate you picking up.
Thank you. See you, Mateo. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just where the Padres have put themselves. I'm sure some people are tired of me talking about, the past and past moves that AJ Preller, the Padres have made. I'm not someone that has gone as hard on the past moves because it's very easy to get mad about past moves when we all like these moves when it happened. In terms of like being excited when Crony was extended, I think people were excited. Maybe some people questioned the Bogarts deal. I know that there were people that questioned the Bogarts deal, but were we excited that we landed Xander Bogaerts? We landed a star player, one of the big players being talked about at the time last offseason? Yeah. Yeah, we were. You can't tell me that collectively as a fan base, we weren't excited. We were. And so now people want to go there and crap all over, Xander's deal. And, I've done that, but I don't want to go as hard as some others have because I'm not taking it personally against Xander. And I was excited. I'll admit, I was excited when these moves happened. And I wasn't looking totally ahead at Juan Soto and a possible extension because Peter Seidler was still with us. And we didn't know about the $50 million loan that was taken out. We didn't know how much, at least I didn't know. I can't speak for all of you. I didn't know how big the TV deal was. I didn't know it was $1.2 billion. And now they don't have a TV deal. When are they going to have a TV deal? There's no details out on that at all. And how much money they're going to be able to get from that TV deal. What the heck is that going to look like? There's just a lot of things that have happened, since some of these moves. And none of it is positive. Things that you needed to have happen to put this franchise in the right direction, and things are looking good to extend players, to bring players back that are important, you would think, to this franchise. Things just haven't lined up. And so this is where the Padres sit right now. By the way, Rowdy Tellez signed a deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He is going to Pittsburgh. 1 year, $3 million. You're telling me the Padres can't do that? The Padres couldn't give Rowdy Tellez $3 million? I mean, I'm kind of pissed at that, to be honest. I mean, I'm not saying Rowdy Tellez is Babe Ruth, but a lefty bat you needed, someone that has, power potential, 1 year, $3 million. You don't think Rowdy Tellez would have been willing to go to the Padres over the Pittsburgh Pirates? Maybe he's going to play every day with the Pirates, so maybe that was appealing to him. But you're telling me that if the Padres offered Rowdy Tellez $3 million, he would rather be with the Pirates, not the Padres? I'm surprised by that. because that's a pretty cheap bet. You know, the Padres, they don't have a ton of room if they want to spend on starting pitching and outfield. Rowdy Tellez is someone that would have come cheap, someone that it's not a long-term deal, 1 year, and someone that can hit some home runs for you from the left side every once in a while. You know, I would have been totally fine with bringing in Tellez, at that. That's pretty surprising to me. Maybe the Padres, maybe we'll learn that they showed interest and Tellez like didn't want to go or he wanted to start. But yeah, that's interesting. All right, John, he is in here. What's up, my man?
Oh man, just another day of being a Padres fan, getting kicked in the nuts. Just nothing crazy. It's I actually wanted to come on for I had a question actually, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Apologies if you've already done this or not, but what are your thoughts? Obviously, about the Shohei Ohtani thing is a big thing, but what's the deal with Tatis, Xander, and Manny? I am definitely in the camp pro Xander Bogaerts. He started out the year great with us. He was our top hitter. I think it was an off year, much like Juan Soto. It takes transition time, different league, different division. I get it. But, if the Dodgers can do this, I'm sorry. What is stopping AJ Preller from doing the same exact thing, given the circumstances of our payroll at this current moment?
Yeah, I get that. So with the Dodgers, the difference there is they have way more money, I would assume, than the Padres do. And they're in a better financial situation than the Padres are in right now, for sure. They didn't just have their chairman pass away and then have it handed over to someone that's like working 30 years, 30 years experience working financially in how to manage, what is it? Manage a business or something. The
Manage
silent equity.
firm or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, right when I saw Eric could send his name, I was like, all right, this isn't Peter Seidler anymore. So the deferments part, you're talking about Ohtani, right? With what the Dodgers are doing?
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm looking at a large contract. I think that the Dodgers obviously should be paying $70 million a year, but we also have 3 large contracts combined for Ohtani. What I
would say to that is the players have to agree to it as well, and Manny wouldn't agree to that. Bogaerts wouldn't agree to that. Those guys, because Ohtani is in a different spot where he's making $50 million a year in endorsements, more than any player per year, and just from their baseball contract. Manny's not worth that in endorsements. Tatis is not worth that in endorsements. Bogaerts is not worth that in endorsements. He can sit there and be like, I haven't made the postseason once with the Angels, and I want to win. And so, yeah, that's nothing. I'll get $68 million a year when I'm 40, starting then or whenever the age is. Yeah, that's fine. No problem, because he's getting paid almost as much in endorsements. So, and $2 million for Shohei Ohtani, $2 million for anyone per year. You can live on that. No, that's nothing. So he is fine. They're just in a spot where the Dodgers can prove to Major League Baseball, because they have to prove that they can pay the deferments. They can do that. The Padres, I don't think they're in a spot that they can prove that they can do that to someone on a, $460 million contract, let's say, because that's what it is in present value, I guess, according to reporters. The Padres, I don't think, can do that. And the player has to agree to it as well. And Shohei's like a once in a lifetime player, and that's just a totally different case. But what I'm pissed off about is if Major League Baseball was going to allow this, then it's more of a disadvantage to the smaller market teams because they can't do that. Can't do that. And they're going to deny the Padres of a 14-year deal to lower the AAV for someone like Aaron Judge if they would have signed him last year. But then they're going to allow this. The Dodgers are doing the same thing, just in a different way. And people want to say, oh, well, Aaron Judge wouldn't play till he's 44. Shohei's not playing at age 40. But he's going to get paid $68 million a year to not play. And it's just like, how does this make sense? And by the way, when they're paying him $68 million a year, that's what I was going to say. When they're paying him $68 million a year at age 40 and 41 and 42, whenever that contract ends in 2043, I think, he is not going to be counting towards the CBT for the Dodgers. He's only counting for the 10 years, $46 million for 10 years. when he's starting getting paid $68 million after it, they're not counting that towards the CBT. Where Manny's contract and Xander's contract and Tatis's contract, all those count for every year that they play for the exact amount of money because it's AAV like a normal contract is supposed to be. Deferments, like I said, I think yesterday, totally okay with it. 15%, 20%, whatever. But 97% of a contract to be deferred because they're trying to lower the AAV and they're trying to play with the CBT. Yeah. Great for baseball, right? It's no, but it's good for baseball. Totally
Oh
good.
yeah, no, I know.
If
Believe
the Padres
me.
did this, if the Royals did this, would that happen?
Yeah.
I don't really think so.
Yeah, I have shut down I've crafted my YouTube feed and my Instagram feed to shut out Otani stuff because apparently large contracts are good for are bad for the Padres, but apparently when the Dodgers do it for $70 million and set a precedent, by all means, that's totally okay. I think this now this is the thing. I think Otani it's not unprecedented for somebody like especially a big team to do it. I mean, Ken Griffey only took half of his contract, and same with Bonilla, excuse me, of the Mets. Obviously, he's still getting paid million two every year until 2034 or something like that.
Not
So
it's not $68 million per year though. Like that's
I know. Believe me, I know. What I'm saying is that listen, it doesn't necessarily have to be an Otani like contract where it's like $70 million, take that, take 97% or 98% off or whatever. But I mean, like, do the Ken Griffey model, essentially take half now, take half later. And if also in Manny's case as well, is that Manny also gets a lot of endorsements, granted not as much as Shohei Otani, but I mean, the guy's going to get ramping up his AAV every, as this big contract kind of settles in and stuff like that. There is, I think, a worthwhile discussion, especially for AJ Preller. If the Dodgers are doing this, then why can't, say, Manny Machado take half now and then half a little bit later? I know it's a personal decision, and we're just two guys just on YouTube just talking about this, and this is a lot of money for the guy. But at the same time, Otani's doing this to win, and he does set a certain precedent with this backroom deals, front office stuff that. He wants to win and he's willing to sacrifice a large amount of money. So what does that say about other large players as well who are trying to on these contending teams and stuff like that? And that's really my argument, really, is that why isn't other teams just doing the same now that this rule is good? And also the CPA is not going to be valid, or the contract isn't going to expire until 2026. So these rule changes will not happen for another 4 years. And who knows if it'll even be changed, given the fact that now Shohei Ohtani is going to get $700 million. What's stopping other players, two-way players, from coming up and asking for the same exact amount of money?
Yeah, I think the narrative with the players about, oh, why won't these players do what Shohei's doing? Like they should be good. I know that narrative is going to be out there, and I think that's unfair to players like Manny Machado, and because like what Manny did, some will say, oh, well, why didn't Manny do that? Well, Manny kind of did help the Padres, not AAV wise, like because
Darvish did the same
I don't
thing
think,
too.
I don't think they were really thinking about that. I don't think the Padres front office was thinking about it. By the way, Shohei Ohtani thought about this, not his agent, not the guys that went to like Ivy League schools in the front office. They didn't. Okay, yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah, we'll believe that.
With Manny, if you look at his contract, Padres fans or Dodger fans that want to crap on Manny, oh, Manny just didn't do it because he's selfish. Go look at his contract. Because of the Hosmer deal, he changed the amount of money that he was getting at the front of this contract. Even if it's in the prime of his career, he changed the amount, the actual money that the Padres have to pay. $13 million is his base salary for the next 3 years. And then it goes up to 21 and then 35 the rest of the way. To help offset, or not offset, but help for the Padres, instead of having to pay him $35 million a year or 21 even, Hosmer's contract is still happening here for the next 2 years at $13 million. So he's taking 13 at the front here, like literally him being paid by the Padres. So I think to as much as his knowledge about a contract, he helped the Padres as much as he could. And I get it. You could talk about the spring training thing and making it about him and all that. But in order to help the team, you have to be there long term in the first place. So I understand what Manny was doing. And look, he got the contract. And it seems like to me he's all about San Diego now because he has
Yeah.
the contract, and so like I couldn't really care less about what happened then now. But like I think to his knowledge, he helped the Padres as much as he could there. And if he knew about this, I wonder if he would have changed. Can they, like, I don't know the answer to this. Can they restructure the contract and defer the money starting today? If Manny went up to Eric Kutsenda or AJ and said, I want money deferred, can they even change that when the contract has already been agreed upon? Can they rip it up and then rewrite the entire contract again? And it's the same money and some of it's just deferred? Because if I was in, like, it's easy for me to say, I don't know. It's kind of like the live golf thing. I don't know if people follow that, but
Oh
it's easy
yeah.
for us to say, yeah, I wouldn't take that because I'm getting paid millions of dollars anyway. Like, so I could say for this contract stuff for the deferments. Yeah, if I was getting paid $2 million a year from a team, yeah, I'd take the deferments because I'd be set. I'm good. It's $2 million. But if you could make $30 million a year, if like it's actually right there, the contract's in front of you, and you can make $30 million a year and not have it deferred, I think it would probably be a little bit harder of a decision there. So, yeah, I'm not gonna like go crap on the players for not thinking about that because I
No.
don't believe that it was Shohei that was like, yeah, any team that wants me, I'm gonna defer all of this money. Look at the little loophole here in this in the CBA
Yeah.
that we can do. That
Yeah.
was Shohei. Shohei's a smart guy. I'm not saying he's not, but
No.
it was all his idea. Of course, the
Yeah.
agent's gonna say that. Of course, the Dodgers are gonna say that. Like, I just disagree.
Yeah. No. I think that I will say leave it to the frickin' Dodgers to find some sort of loophole and
And,
BS.
credit to them. I
Credit
just
to
don't think
them.
I just
Listen,
don't
hate
think
the
it's right.
player.
I just
Yeah.
don't think
Oh, hate. You can't hate the player when you hate the game. That's all I gotta say. And you know what, Manny Machado. I mean, I think every Padre fan is kind of in agreement that we wanted to do this. This is a good decision, no matter what. And yeah, I think the precedent wasn't set when Manny Machado was signing. Yeah, it was all about him during spring training, but that's because we wanted him so much. You know what I mean? But that being said, I mean, I'm so peeved about this whole thing, and I'm just really peeved off at MLB for allowing this to happen. I mean, the MLB really needs to take a look in the mirror and say, like, listen, there are other major sports out there that have these salary caps in place, and then on top of that, aren't willing to basically forego any sort of competition-based rules as a result. And so now these small market teams are going to have to compete with rookies and prospects and stuff like that within the window of control that they have now until they get traded to the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Red Sox or any other large market team, you name them, doesn't matter. But I just find it absolutely repugnant. And you know what? If anything, this Jung-hoo Lee thing also taught me is that we are going to get priced out of a lot of stuff. And we have to start thinking about the second tier, B tier, whatever you want to call it, stuff, because this is what we got. This is the team that we have. We just need to build up the pitching, and we'll see what happens in the springtime. Honestly, I'm just peeved.
Yeah, on the outfield market, I mean, who are you looking at from free agency wise? I'm looking at names like if we go down the list, Spot Track has them ranked market value. So, well, not ranked, but it's all the bigger market value guys I think are more at the top of this list. There's guys like Jock Peterson, Cody Bellinger, AJ Pollock, Teoscar Hernandez, Jorge Soler, Michael Brantley, Joey Gallo, Randall Grichuk, JD Martinez, someone like Kevin Kiermaier on a 1-year deal worth, $7-8 million, and then you trade for someone like Max Kepler to play left, let's say. I don't
Yeah,
think that's the worst thing. And you bring Profar in as a utility guy.
yeah,
Signing someone like a Michael A. Taylor if you can't get Kiermaier. Bader, I don't know how much he's going to cost. Market value here says 15 plus. I don't agree with that.
yeah. No,
But someone for sure that like really wants to win and isn't just here for, the money or for San Diego. Let's see.
yeah.
Kevin Pillar is not starting caliber, but someone that could, I mean, I don't think they would do that because they just have Jose Azocar do that.
Yeah,
But like David Peralta's out there. So there's still options out there. And, Jung-hoo Lee was a risk for this Padres team. Like it's a risk for the Dodgers, especially when you're giving him over $100 million. And then there's the posting fee. He hasn't hit against big league pitching yet. So that's a
yeah,
big risk. So the Padres, they could have, dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, as much as I wanted Jung-hoo Lee only because he's the big fish in the little pond at the moment. I mean, yeah, there still needs to be a solid discussion about how well he's adapted to the big leagues. No matter how long he's there for spring training and getting well adjusted to the whole Giants organization, there still is a big transition from spring training, even the Korean League, into the major leagues and stuff like that. So, if anything, the Giants, I would argue, I mean, hopefully has a good season, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot for him. And we saw with Ha-Sung Kim, and I mean, thankfully he improved dramatically every
Yeah.
single year over year. But at the same time, it is quite a transition. And I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think Bellinger is looking for a big long contract, especially after his Cubs stint. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs sign him, or the Giants, for gosh, you know. But I think at the end of the day, we have to really think realistically about our payroll limitations in terms of just the kind of talent that we have currently, and then what we can do in order to build upon the talent that we have currently. That's the thing we need to really focus on. And I think that might be the case where Preller can finally utilize some sort of hitter or somebody to bring him up and just kind of fill that role, essentially, just for a time. Maybe do it like platoon, whatever, like have Jose Azocar or Matthew Batten or somebody just kind of rotate through, Brandon Dixon even, and just kind of rotate through this sort of outfield position player, whatever it is. Hopefully they have a good hot streak or something like that. But I mean, gosh, what another day of kicking the nuts for Padres fans. I am so sick and tired. I cannot wait till spring starts. And yeah, that's all I wanted to get on here and rant. So I'm done.
No. You're good. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah. Feel the same. Yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been Padres wise. It's been a rough offseason. It's been a rough past week. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani going to the Dodgers, and then all the details we hear after that. And that was after the Padres had traded Juan Soto. Why? Because they needed room to build more of a complete roster. I like the return that they got back. I thought AJ Preller did well, but it's not like it is going to make you feel a lot better about the Juan Soto deal, because at the end of the day, like, you had to trade one of the best hitters on the planet a year before his contract was even up, when you gave up so much for him because of some of the moves that you made, before the 2023 season, and some stuff was out of your control as well that contributed to that. But yeah, it's frustrating. If we look at the starting pitching options here in free agency, because obviously Seth Lugo off the board. For me, someone in the outfield, like, if what I would like to see, I think that would be good. Make a trade, get someone like Max Kepler from the Minnesota Twins, sign Kevin Kiermaier. You can have him play center field. Jacob Marcy was great in the Arizona Fall League. 13th ranked prospect in the Padres farm system, I believe, according to MLB.com. Seems like a good talent, and I think he's a lefty. But is he going to be ready? I don't want to take that risk where you're guaranteeing Jacob Marcy, okay, you're starting in center field, or it's him or Azokar, let's say. Tatis isn't right, and Marcy better work out in spring training, better be good, because he's the starting center fielder. Like, I don't want to take that risk. If he's really good and he's ready, okay. But I want to have that option in case he's not. And for the most part, I'd rather have someone who's, had big league at bats play center field on opening day than someone that hasn't, and someone that's making their big league debut. Everyone has to make their big league debut to be successful in the big leagues. I understand that. But Marcy played a limited number of games in AA, hasn't played in AAA yet. I'm not saying he has to play in AAA. But should we judge too much on what he does in spring training? Because we know that sometimes spring training can, lie to us a little bit on performance. So there's that. I think that you probably want even more depth than just acquiring 2 outfielders and just go with the bench that you have. No, you probably want more than that. You want another bat. Rowdy Tellez goes to the Pirates. I thought that would have been a cheap option for the Padres. Maybe Preller has a trade that he's thinking about. Maybe they're going to be in on Rhys Hoskins. Jim Bowden has Rhys Hoskins, I believe, going to the San Francisco Giants. He had Jung-hoo Lee going to the Giants earlier this morning in The Athletic, and that has happened. So we'll see. Starting pitching wise, Marcus Stroman is out there, but market value is over 15 mil. The Padres to do. Sorry, there's an ad playing right now on Spot Track, so this is really annoying. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you, because sometimes when I go back and hear when there's like an ad playing in the background, I think my mic cuts out sometimes. So that's why I needed to stop that. Okay, so starting pitching market, there's, Marcus Stroman, but do the Padres want to pay any starting pitcher over $15 million a year when there's Drew Thorpe that's coming up, hopefully sometime in 2024? You have Michael King. There's Avila, there's Waldron, but those probably should be depth options. But more like guys Iriarte and Mazer and Snelling, those three guys there. Lesko, I think, is a couple years away. Maybe those guys can help contribute. Maybe not 2024, all of them, but hopefully, definitely 2025, or at least second half 2024 at some point. Do you want to sign guys to, 15 plus $1 million contracts per year? And those contracts are probably multiple years. And then you're kind of creating a logjam there in the rotation. Right now, it doesn't seem great. But I think the best thing for this Padres team is to have short term guys, 1 year, 2 year. There's someone like Martin Perez. I think I would welcome that. Someone that's a lefty. Alex Wood, Manaea and Clevenger are out there, but I think that would be a little weird if the Padres decide to bring those guys back. There's like Lucas Giolito. That's interesting. He struggled this past year, but he does pitch. He does. I'm not just like literally, but I'm saying he pitches. He gives you innings. Might not be great innings, might not be great production, but maybe Ruben Diablo can work his magic there if that's like a 1 year deal. But even Giolito might get to around $15 million for 1 year if it gets into a bidding war because teams believe in Lucas Giolito because he was one of the better young talents in the game not too long ago. Guys like Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, they're not going to sign. Corey Kluber, that would be a risk, right? Injuries. Same with James Paxton. Frankie Montas was out with an injury this past year. There's Johnny Cueto out there. Tyler Mahle was on the Twins. Michael Wacha, how much is he going to get? I don't know if he's going to get a 3-year deal like Seth Lugo just got because there are the health questions, but how much is he going to get? I don't see him coming back to the Padres the way the starting pitching market is looking. Someone like Jack Flaherty. I would like to have Jack Flaherty here. I think he can really work with Ruben Niebla. He pitched well with Mike Schilt as his manager. Maybe that's a coincidence or maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But Jack Flaherty, we know the talent is there. Can the Padres get that out of him? But I'm just trying to be realistic. Some of these names that I'm throwing out there, I'm trying to make it realistic. Eric Lauer, I don't think Eric Lauer really likes the Padres too much. I remember some past comments there from Eric Lauer. So I don't really see that. But someone like Jack Flaherty, Lucas Giolito, depending on the price. There's Julio Teheran still out there. Although he probably didn't like that the Padres didn't put him on the opening day roster this past season. There's someone like a Dallas Keuchel out there who finished last year with the Twins. There's someone like Luke Weaver, Brad Keller, Jake Odorizzi, Michael Lorenzen. So there's names that we know out there. These guys are just risks, but they'd be 1-year guys. And hopefully Ruben would be able to work his magic. I do see Carter. So Carter, I'm going to bring you on here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? You got me?
Yep, I got you.
Dude, that guy you just had on your show is a lot more smarter than I am when it comes to baseball. Like, bro, I'm so stupid when it comes to stuff like this.
I mean, do you have any anything on your mind?
Yeah, I'm kind of sad Lugo's gone.
Yeah, I liked him too. I mean, 3 years though, 15 mil per year, that's just not something the Padres want to do, just where they're at financially, I should say.
And also, I literally forgot to tell you this the other night when I joined you. But I'm going to a game. We play the Rockies, I think. It's May something. We're celebrating my graduation that day. And I was wanting to know if you're going to be at the game. Because if you are, I was going to want to know if you could, like, if I could meet you.
Yeah, just DM me on social media.
Okay.
At Talking Friars, Twitter, Instagram. And yeah, I'll see if I'll be there.
Okay.
But that's probably a little while away. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I know that's
go
kind of
ahead
off
and
topic.
no, it's good. Just go ahead and DM me there. Any questions? There's just a bunch of people in the chat that I'm gonna get to here.
Yeah, I got one, and that's it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of stupid, but why did Lugo have to leave?
Well, because it is a business. I mean, he got more money than the Padres were going to give him. Um, he had a player option in his contract. And thank you for the question, Carter. He had a player option in his contract for, I think, $7.5 million. And the way that he performed this past season, that just didn't work. The Padres weren't like he was not going to take that with the Padres, that player option. He was going to get more money on the free agent market. He was going to get a multi-year deal for more than $7.5 million per year. And that's exactly what happened. He doubled his player option in this deal with the Royals. $7.5 million on a player option. He got 15 per year with the Royals. So that's why Padres weren't going to do that. That's really what it is. I mean, I don't see the Padres spending more than $15 million on a starting pitcher per year. Maybe they spend like 20 on a 2-year deal, 10 per year, maybe that, but they're just how many holes they have. It's almost like they can't spend 15 per year. Again, that goes towards the CBT. And CBT wise, they don't have as much room as I think we thought, or at least maybe I thought at the beginning of things. If I go to the Padres payroll here, 203, a little over 203.6 million projected total tax allocations. I think that is talking about the CBT there. And the threshold is 237. So guess where that leaves the Padres? 237 minus, let's say 204. So that's 33. So less than $34 million of room, CBT wise, for a couple starters, couple bats, or like a few bats, 2 outfielders, a reliever. That's especially in free. That's why I feel like more and more trades are going to be happening with this Padres team. We haven't just seen the only trade here, or there was the De Los Santos trade at the beginning, but maybe some forgot about that. Barlow to Cleveland. It's not like we're only going to see a couple trades here. I feel like more is going to come because in the trades is where the Padres can go acquire maybe these controllable guys, or if they're not like super controllable, they're not making a ton of money. Where in free agency, Austin Hedges just signed for $4 million with the Cleveland Guardians to be their backup catcher. Victor Caratini got like what 12 mil per year, or maybe it was 12 in total, whatever it was, from the Houston Astros to like be their backup catcher, I think, or maybe split time. So whatever it is, it's going to cost you. So yeah, trades is something that I would not be shocked to see the Padres do at some point here this offseason. I don't think Preller is done dealing. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, let's get to the chat. I see Steven here. Super chat, thank you so much. Says 100 losses. Like how many losses the Padres are going to have this year? Sure hope not. That's more like the Colorado Rockies. SD Fan 44, who do we pivot to now? Bellinger? No. I know this comment was from a while ago. I already addressed Bellinger, so hopefully SD Fan 44, you were here when I addressed that. But no, Cody Bellinger, I don't think that fits the Padres, what they're trying to do. Daniel says, it is time to make it happen for a Randy Arozarena or Luis Robert trade. If not, we are about to start looking at 2025 and spend $200 million for no postseason for 2024. Randy, yeah, I mean, he's a trade candidate. Luis Robert Jr., I think, is a little bit less. That's someone that I think the White Sox are trying to build their team around. Where Randy Arozarena with the Rays, I mean, the Rays, they don't really build their team around anyone. And when the one person that they build their team around, Wander Franco, he ends up getting in trouble. They just don't build their team around really any players. So, yeah, Randy is a trade candidate. Wouldn't be surprised to see him dealt. But I just don't know what the Tampa Bay Rays would be looking for in a Randy Arozarena deal. Is it pitching? They could always use more pitching. Any team can use more pitching. Padres don't want to give up pitching. Is it outfield? Padres don't have outfield. Like, what is it? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see a Randy Arozarena trade happening, but it would fit Padres payroll-wise. I mean, Randy's not making a whole lot. I think it's like $70 million. not 70, sorry. $7 million, I think. Let me look it up here on Spot Track. Randy Arozarena. Yeah. 3 years of control they'd have him for. $7 million is his estimated base salary, according to Spot Track, in 2024. Like, that's not bad at all. But with how good that is, Rays are probably going to ask for more. It's not like he's making $30 million, and the Rays would probably be asking for less because they're just trying to get out from under the contract, right? Jim says, if it was raining soup, I was about to say soap. If it was raining soup, the Padres would have a fork. Sheesh. Yeah. I get the point there for sure. Carlos, can we at least get Waka, Profar, and Sanchez back? Bring up Merrill. Merrill will come up at some point in 2024. I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening day. And if Crony's on the roster, if Kim's on the roster, we know Bogarts is going to be on the roster. I don't know if Merrill makes sense to bring up opening day. When I'm bringing up Jackson Merrill, if I'm the Padres, I want him playing every day. I don't want him sitting there on the bench because you're using up his service time. Right? Can we at least bring back Waka? Maybe, but I think the Padres, they had that chance to bring him back, to guarantee bringing him back, and they didn't want to do it. I get it, payroll-wise, $16 million a year on the club option, didn't want to do that. But I think Waka could land a multi-year deal from someone. I don't know if the Padres want to do that with the injury history. Profar, yes. I would actually kind of be surprised if Profar doesn't return, to be honest, because he's coming off of a down year, and I think he fits great with the Padres as a utility guy. Good clubhouse vibes is what it seems like. We know he can play left field if he needs to. I don't think that should be the starting left fielder for opening day in Korea, but yeah, I'd like Profar back. It would be cheap. It would be a 1-year deal probably. Gary Sanchez, no. They just acquired Higgy from the Yankees. He's the backup catcher. He's going to split time with Luis Camposano. There's Brett Sullivan behind those two. Spending $10 million a year on Gary Sanchez or $8 million, whatever the heck it was going to be, that just doesn't make sense anymore when you acquire Kyle Higashioka. Logan says, I want Jacob Marcy starting. I don't think you're the only Padres fan that thinks that. I mean, he'd be making, the rookie minimum, right? Whatever it is, 700,000, whatever, something around that. So yeah, that would be good for the Padres' financial thoughts, right? Like their financial plan. That can allow them to spend more money on the rotation and in left field and another bat and reliever. But there's the risk of maybe he's not available or not available, excuse me. Maybe he's not ready at the start of his big league career. Maybe he's being rushed to the big leagues because the Padres feel like, oh, we need to save money. Oh, he was an Arizona Fall League MVP this past Arizona Fall League. Oh, let's rush him. We think he's good. He has a good spring training. He's ready to go. Let's do it. But what if he's not ready? And you're starting the clock, and now it's another guy. It's like Grisham. And Marcy, it seems like he's pretty good defensively, but he's probably not Trent Grisham right now at the big league level. So you're really just acquiring a lesser Trent Grisham. A cheaper Trent Grisham, I should say. And a lesser version of Trent Grisham. If Jacob Marcy isn't ready to go right from the get-go in the big leagues. So I'd rather go like the Kiermaier route in center field, and then you bring up Marcy when he's ready, and then Kiermaier will fit in whenever he needs to fit in. He can be a fourth outfielder. You can use him late in games if you need to. Like, I think the Padres can be a contender next year, so Kiermaier might be like, hey, contending team, I'll go to the Padres. Now, it's not like the Padres are going to be the only team interested. I don't even know if they are interested in Kevin Kiermaier. I would hope that they are. It's a lefty bat. He's not great offensively. He's a bottom of the order guy, but it's someone with big league experience. We know he can play the outfield pretty darn well. So I would be interested in Kevin Kiermaier. Other teams will be interested though, like the Blue Jays. They missed on Jung-hoo Lee. I think, was it Nightingale or Heyman? I think they noted that the Blue Jays did show interest there in Kevin Kiermaier, or not Kevin, in Jung-hoo Lee. So they're still looking for outfield. The Cubs, whoever misses out on Bellinger, right? They'd probably go pivot to a Kiermaier or a Michael A. Taylor or a Harrison Bader. I'm not there with Marcy. If I see more, and maybe I'll be ready for Marcy to start in center field from day one, but I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't know if he even thinks he's ready to start day one at the big league level. More Dodger fans in the chat, huh? What a surprise. Taking your time being in a Padres fan chat. Grand Admiral Shanahan says, would you guys take Conforto and Stripling for Kim? No. No. I get it. Stripling is an arm. But Conforto could just go get hurt. I know he's a lefty bat, but he's not, I don't think at least. I don't think that he is what he once was. I'm looking at Conforto, just going to Conforto stats for 2023. 125 games, 718 OPS, 99 OPS plus. And how much is the dude making? I mean, didn't he sign like a 2-year, $28 million deal this past year? 2 years, 36. Yeah, like, no, I don't want to pay that much to a league average guy in Michael Conforto. No thanks. So, no. And Kim is one of the better players on the Padres, period. So, yeah, you're probably making yourself a little worse there. Maybe that makes you, hey, Cronenworth fits the roster better because Kim's off of it. But no, if you're going to trade Kim, you're trading him for guys that are, better than league average probably at the big league level, is what I would hope they would trade Ha-Seong Kim for. Lil Casino asked, damn, you think we can sign Snell? As far as outfield, I'd be down for our outfielders to be Eddie Rosario, Jacob Marcy, and Fernando Tatis Jr. I'd be fine with Tatis. Eddie Rosario, maybe if it was 2021. What did he do this past year? Was he even a starter this past year? Eddie Rosario. Oh, wow. So league average OPS plus, 755 OPS. Hit over 20 home runs. WAR was 1.1. Not going to give you a ton on the defensive side, I don't think. He was with Atlanta, right? Yeah. Okay, so he was with Atlanta, played 142 games. Yeah, I mean, it's someone that would be a lefty bat. He's only 31. Jeez, I would think that guy's like 36. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would be the end of the world, but I think there are better options out there still on the market. I wonder what he would get, I wonder what he would get, though. I think he's a 1-year deal guy, right? I don't know if he would get like a 2-3-year deal. Would probably give him an option year, though. Hey, if you suck, you can come back. And Jacob Marcy, I'm not on that train right now. Maybe it's because I need to learn more about him, but I'm not on that train of he's ready to go day one, Soul Series against the Dodgers, opening day. I'm not on that. And I'm not so sure playing well in spring training is going to make me believe it. Spring training that could just be one big lie. There's positives from spring training for sure, but I don't know if that's best to make a decision. Oh, is this guy ready from, one spring training and a shortened spring training because the Padres are going to be playing in Korea against the Dodgers earlier than everyone else is going to be playing meaningful actual games that count. Sucks kind of wanted Lee. Well, I was fine with having Lee for, 50 mil, like I said earlier, but not for 113 or whatever the Dodgers signed him for. What was it again? Yeah, 6 years, 113 mil. I'm good. I'll pass on that. Steve says, sounds like Marcy or Tatis in center field. Yeah, I mean, financially, again, like Marcy, yeah, that makes sense for the Padres, but I think the Padres, like, you're trying to win right now. And I don't want to make this seem like I'm crapping all over Jacob Marcy. I just think that it would be better for the Padres to bring in someone that, has the big league experience to go play center field. And if Marcy's ready, okay, then you can start Jacob Marcy and have that guy be, a fourth outfielder and still be a valuable piece to this team. But I am not banking on Jacob Marcy being the opening day outfielder. Tatis in center, I'd rather have him being right. I mean, he just won the Platinum Glove in right field. If it ain't broke, don't go try to fix it. That's what I think about that. Continuing to go through the chat here. No, I think this is a Giants fan. I don't know. But keep floating up the Conforto and Stripling. I know you said Luke Jackson that you're adding on, but I'm not interested in taking on Michael Conforto's contract. Johnny says, come on, earlier you wanted Lee badly. Now that he signs elsewhere, you're saying San Diego dodged a bullet. I'm saying they dodged a bullet because of how long the deal is and how much money it is. And it would have been a risk even if they did sign him. Like, if they signed him for, like, let's say 5 years, 50 mil, right? Or even 5 years, like 75. I would have been like, man, I'm excited to see what he can do, but this is a risk. The Giants deal that he got, I'm not mad that they missed out on Jung-hoo Lee because of the deal. Like, there's no way I was going to be giving Jung-hoo Lee that. That was just not going to happen. Chad says, mid-December, and we have one outfielder. Get to work, Preller. Yeah. Tatis, hey, he can cover ground, so maybe Preller likes him just playing all 3 outfield positions. And yeah. The thing about this, though, and you say mid-December, and, I think most offseason it would be like, oh, man, there's probably a lot of guys that have signed. That's not the case. Ohtani was really holding up the market, really holding it up and the Soto trade, and that took a while because the Padres were trying to hire a manager first, and, and Peter Seidler's passing, like, it just kept postponing things, right? And the Soto deal goes down, right? And we think maybe that starts some things, but then teams are waiting on Ohtani. Blue Jays waiting on Ohtani. They want outfield, but they're waiting on Ohtani because you'd rather have Ohtani long term than any of these free agent outfielders, right? You'd rather have Ohtani long term than probably Soto on a 1-year deal. Teams were just waiting. Cubs, Giants, these teams were waiting. So now maybe teams were waiting on Jung-hoo Lee before they went and were aggressive with some other outfielders. So yeah, it's delayed, but I'm not like panicked about the Padres outfield situation right now. There's still plenty of time. There are still plenty of free agents out there. So yeah, maybe a regular offseason where things weren't totally delayed, I would be more panicked about it. But right now, I mean, there's still a lot of options out there. There are trade options out there. So I guess we have no choice. We got to put our trust in AJ right now. Carlos says, Profar and Snell back, shoulder shrugs. Snell, I don't see that. I mean, the Padres, again, I just don't see that they're in a spot to give $30 million a year to a starting pitcher who may pitch 5 innings for you in a start next year. And he's not going to perform like he did this past season in any season in the next 6-7 years or however long this contract's going to be. Steve, thank you so much with the super chats. Says, I think 04 is a reload year. I mean, 2024? Yeah, 2024. Thank you for those 2 super chats. You didn't have to super chat the second one to clarify, but I appreciate that, Steve, very much. Yeah, reload, rebuild. I think. Well, what do you mean by reload year? Like, because let's say, okay, the Padres payroll goes down. So what are we saying? The Padres payroll is going to go back up to 250 in 2025? I disagree with that. I think the payroll is going to stay around $200 million probably. And I think that's like a top 10 payroll in baseball. And then as salaries rise and as the CBT rises, then maybe it goes up higher to like 215, 220. Maybe it stays around 215, 220 in 2025. But so is it really that much of a reload, or is it just scaling back to, where the payroll is probably going to be because Peter Seidler's not the chairman of the team anymore. And they don't want to be taking out $50 million loans. And they're not going to be giving out huge contracts to many guys anymore. And they're going to need these young guys to come up and help the roster. And those guys take up roster spots, and therefore the payroll goes down. Speaking of Michael A. Taylor, Mets are among the teams still showing interest in Michael A. Taylor. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be interest in guys like that can play center field. They have major league experience. See, Jung-hoo Lee goes off the board, and now teams are going to be fighting for these guys. So maybe we'll see a Padres move come down here pretty shortly for an outfielder because Ohtani gone, Soto gone, Lee gone. We'll see, is Bellinger the next one to go? And then all the other guys, find teams. Padres aren't going to be in on Bellinger, but there might be other teams waiting on Bellinger if they want Bellinger. And agents of other players, other outfielders, are going to wait and not sign with the team because they know that the other teams that miss out on Bellinger might want to go sign their clients and they can raise the price. It's a lot of this offseason has been a waiting game for sure. Lil Casino says, sign Snell, defer that S. Yeah, I mean, what the Dodgers did, it's not breaking the rules, but it's abusing the rule, right? Like, you sign a guy and it comes out from Jeff Passan that it's a $700 million contract, even though it's not. Is Ohtani going to get paid $700? Yeah, but all this money is deferred. 97+% of the contract's deferred. And then for the CBT, it's not 70 a year, which when you announce a 10-year, $700 million contract, the CBT should be 70, the AAV should be $70 million. That's what it should be. You can defer however long, but it should be $70 million, and it's not. And it's deferred, and when Ohtani's not playing for the team anymore, but he's making $68 million a year, that's not going towards the CBT. So the Dodgers are getting off of this. They're getting help. They get rewarded with Ohtani, and they get to have more help so that they can bring in someone like a Yamamoto or a Blake Snell or a Josh Hader or both. Like, I just think that they abuse the rule, and maybe this is going to come up in the next talks. Maybe we're going to have a lockout. Maybe we won't, because this is just a one-time thing, and we're not going to see a bunch of deferral contracts because some players can't afford to do that because they don't make $40 to $50 million a year in endorsements, right? But yeah, in terms of deferring, like Blake Snell, let's say the Padres offer him $200 million, right? And say that's the most by any team. And they say, we'll give you $2 million a year, Blake, for the next 5 years, right? Probably unrealistic contract offer, but let's say 5 years, $200 million. Big on the AAV, not much years, but big on the AAV. But we're going to defer it. And so we'll give you, so 2 times 5 is 10. So we'll give you, instead of, what would that be? 200, that's $40 million a year? We'll give you $38 million a year starting in 2030, I think, is what that would be. I'm trying to make it like in comparison to Ohtani. We'll give you that much starting in 2030. And so to the CBT, how much would that cost? It wouldn't cost the Padres $40 million a year, right? Would Major League Baseball approve it? I mean, they would have to if they're approving the Ohtani deal, and that has already become official. That became official yesterday. So yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be fan bases calling for that. But if that money is deferred by these guys, the value of the contract goes down. The guys want the money right now. They don't make $50 million a year in endorsement deals. Like, the Ohtani thing is a special case because he can sit there just like I would have. If I want to win, I was on the Angels for all those years, didn't make the postseason once. I want to win. I make $50 million a year in endorsements, or $40 million, whatever the heck the number is. I'll take $2 million and I can defer the money because I'm good. I don't need $70 million a year coming into my bank account. I don't need that. How is that going to change my lifestyle? So yeah, Ohtani can do that. Seems like he's a simple man, and these players get a bunch of stuff for free anyways during the season. So yeah, you take the money, the $2 million, defer the rest. You get to come out publicly as a team player, and you get $50 million a year, or 52 or 42 from endorsements and your Dodger contract. The endorsements might come up because now he's playing for the Dodgers, not the Angels. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make it seem like Ohtani's not a good teammate. It seems like he is a good teammate. But any, good human being, someone that wants to win, would do that if they had the opportunity to do that. Just these other Major League Baseball players don't always have the opportunity to do that because they're not Shohei Ohtani, Continuing to go through the chat here. Burns for Merrill. I don't know if that would be enough for the Brewers, to be honest. I know it's 1 year and Merrill is very talented, but I don't know if that would be enough. They'd probably want an arm back on top of that. And, Jennifer brings up Lesko and a lower level prospect. I don't know if why would the Padres want to give up Dylan Lesko, who they just drafted, and when he comes up would have all of his control, not making much money, could be a top rotation starter for 1 year of Corbin Burns. And oh, by the way, how much money is Corbin Burns making? Let me look that up right now. Probably close to $30 million would be my guess. Oh no, 14. So that's not bad. Let's say it's 14.1. That's not bad, but it's 1 year, and you're not going to sign him long term, right? Because Corbin Burns isn't going to take 20 years of deferrals or 20-year contract, but only be in the big league uniform with that team for 10 years or 7 years and 14 years total, including the deferments. Like, not every player is going to do that. So, yeah, Merrill for Burns straight up probably wouldn't be enough, and I don't know if the Padres would want to do that. It's kind of like a Soto and Jason Dominguez thing. The Yankees, Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, that was not going to happen. You had to be realistic. For the Brewers, if you're asking for Jackson Merrill, I think Padres fans would say you probably got to be realistic. If it's 1 year for Corbin Burns, I think you got to be realistic. Brent says Ha-Seong Kim to the Giants in free agency next year with his buddy. Certainly could happen because who's the Giants shortstop right now? Who's at second base? I could see that for sure. That seems like Kim like Melvin, Melvin like Kim. Giants have money to spend. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a pretty diverse community there in the Bay Area. So, yeah, I could see that. Padres already committed $80 million to Jake. They have Merrill coming up, who they don't want to trade, and he'd be making a rookie salary. They have Bogarts long term. So it's almost like, Bogarts, it's kind of like the Soto situation. Not that Kim's going to get dealt, but they've already made prior decisions on guys and given other guys money. They're not going to give Kim money on top of that, because where are you playing all of these guys that you're paying all of this money to? So, yeah, would not be shocked at all, Brent, to see Ha-Seong Kim go to the San Francisco Giants. Isaiah says Farhan offered Ohtani 700. Is that true? Let me look that up. Farhan Zaidi. I'm seeing here the Giants were presented with the exact deal that Shohei Ohtani ultimately finalized with the Dodgers. Farhan said the Giants were agreeable to it. Wait, so if they were presented with the exact deal, so Shohei was using the Giants for leverage then? Was that what was happening? Because if they were presented with it, that's making it sound like the Giants had the opportunity to do it, but they didn't want to do it, so Ohtani went with the Dodgers. But if Zaidi's saying, no, the Giants were agreeable to it, then so he wanted to go to the Dodgers, not the Giants then. So did he present this to the Giants like early on in case the Dodgers weren't interested in it? And then he'd go to the Giants, let's say, if the Dodgers didn't want to do it? Or maybe the Giants didn't offer $700 million or, $460 technically, maybe less. The Dodgers are willing to offer the most. Southern California, stay where you're at. Dodgers are in a better spot probably to win than the Giants are right now, I would say. So maybe that's why. But interesting. All right, continuing to go through the chat here. Joseph says, imagine rotation. Burns, Musgrove, Snell, Darvish, King. Yeah, that's great to say out loud and great to imagine. That's much better than what the rotation looks like right now. But in reality, Padres aren't going to give Blake Snell $30 million a year. They're going to trade Jackson Merrill and probably more for 1 year of Corbin Burns. I just don't see that happening. All of that happening. I don't really see any of that happening, to be honest. But yeah, that's great to imagine that rotation. But let's look at the reality of the situation. I don't think that's realistic. Let's see here. Any more comments, questions to bring up here? Joseph says Padres need to bring Garrett Cooper back, first baseman with a career 260 average. Hit 17 bombs last year, Miami and the Padres. Wouldn't cost much either. I think that's probably like their D plan for like first base DH bat. Not Jung-hoo Lee. Garrett Cooper, excuse me. I don't think he would move the needle too much. Padres missed the postseason last year acquiring Garrett Cooper. I'm not saying Garrett Cooper was bad. Like, there were other guys that needed to step up, but is he like this game changer bat? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he was fine at first base. He was more of a first baseman than Crony, I'll say that, but I don't know. I mean, if you're going to go sign a first base DH bat, I guess I want it to be someone that I imagine that has like more power. Like Reese Hoskins' name has been thrown out there, but do the Padres want to give him $17 million, even if it's for 1 year? If you look at Garrett Cooper last year, sure, 17 home runs. OPS plus was below league average. His OPS was 724. It's not like super impressive, in my opinion. His WAR was literally 0. Like, it's a league average about player, right? I'll take the 17 home runs, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could do better than that. So that would probably be not just their backup plan, but the backup to the backup plan. Probably. By the way, I just remembered this. Are we going to get like any news on the coaching staff? Bench coach, third base coach. Because, right, they need to replace Matt Williams. They need to replace Ryan Christensen. They need to replace Ryan Flaherty. So, hitting coach, offensive coordinator. Are we going to hear anything about that, or they're just going to hire those guys right before spring training? I mean, I'd rather have the players on the roster first before, getting to the coaching. Like, that's more of a priority, but usually coaches are hired and they're put on the staff before the players come in. They probably have viewpoints that they can give to the front office as well on certain players. So I just thought that might have been announced already, but guess not. All right. Annabella asks, would you trade Ha-Seong Kim? Yeah, not KSK, AHSK. Yeah. Ha-Seong Kim. I guess I would trade him for the right package. I don't want to trade Ha-Seong Kim. I think he can help this team in 2024. But I understand if the Padres want to go sign someone like Reese Hoskins that frees up $7 million, or maybe like $3 million if they bring it back someone that's making like $4 million, let's say, frees up a little bit of money probably. It would allow Crony to move back to second base where he's more valuable. Bogarts can be confident playing shortstop. Merrill comes up at some point, could play second, could be a utility guy, or if he plays second, Crony can be more of a utility guy, backup first base. And if they can get like a good starting pitcher in a deal back for Ha-Seong Kim, I think that they probably got to think about it. But, the one thing that I see thrown out there, like Ha-Seong Kim to the Red Sox for Tanner Houck, I don't, that wouldn't really blow me away. So I think it would have to be something more than just Tanner Houck coming back. But I definitely understand if the Padres do trade him. I just think it's not $30 million a room that you're clearing up. And this guy keeps getting better. So I definitely would understand Padres fans being irritated if the Padres would end up trading Ha-Seong Kim. More Dodgers fans in the chat here. Surprise, surprise. You guys can't go in a Dodger chat? Interesting. Let's see here. Reno says, how dare the Dodgers outsmart Major League Baseball? I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying, like, Major League Baseball probably shouldn't allow this to happen. Like, why? I get it's allowed because in the CBA it's agreed upon, but to allow a team when you're signing Shohei Ohtani to a $700 million contract to allow a team to defer $680 million of the deal, how can Major League Baseball look at that and be like, nope, everything totally normal. Yeah, no problem there. And think that that is okay and that's like totally fair to other teams. Like it's not. I understand like the big market size where the Dodgers, okay, maybe it's not fair. Royals, Dodgers go get Ohtani. Yeah, Dodgers are going to win that. But I would be more fine if it's like, okay, you get Ohtani, but you have to pay the price for it. Like that's how it works. You get Bryce Harper, you pay the price for it. You get Manny Machado, you pay the price for it by having to pay a high AAV per year. Or like the Dodgers a few years ago, I think they offered Bryce Harper, wasn't it like a 4-year contract or 3-year contract, something like that? But it was like a ridiculously high AAV. They would have paid for it on the AAV side of things, you know? Like you pay for it. The Dodgers here, some would say, well, they're paying $46 million. They're paying for it. Not really. They're not paying $70 million a year for it. They're paying 46 and, you know, what's 700 minus 460? $240 million of that contract won't end up counting against the CBT. Where with other contracts, like what the Padres have and some other deals around Major League Baseball, every single dollar counts towards the CBT, like little stuff like that. Every dollar that you sign to, or every dollar you give to a player should probably count towards the CBT. Like, I just think that's common sense, you know, for Major League Baseball to have that as like a rule, but I guess not. It's good for baseball though, right? It's good for baseball. Because like the Hosmer contract, I know that money wasn't deferred, but he's sitting on his couch doing nothing. Guess what? That's still counting towards the CBT. You know, they gave him what, 144 over, what was it, like 8 years or something, or was it 7? I forget what the contract was. Hosmer contract, yeah, it's 8 years, 144. So the average salary was $18 million a year. And I think it's 13 partly because of what's left on the contract, and the Red Sox and the Cubs had to pick up some of the salary, and it got offset a little bit because Hosmer was on those teams at one point before he got released. Maybe it wasn't the clubhouse that was the problem, or maybe it wasn't the contract. Maybe it was the player that was the problem. Anyway, getting back to the point, like Padres still have to pay the Hosmer contract, and that still counts towards the CBT, you know? Where a ton of money in this Ohtani deal is not even going to count towards the CBT. Like, that's what I think shouldn't even be allowed. Marquez King says, what about JD Martinez? That's a righty bat, but I mean, yeah, JD Martinez he's someone that I would compare, at least in this day and age in Major League Baseball, to someone like Tony Gwynn, someone that's like a pure hitter. I know it's from the right side, but someone that looks at video all the time, just like a hitter. He's not worried about hitting home runs all the time. Just a great hitter. You know, I look at Michael Brantley from the left side, Luis Ariz from the left side. So, yeah, as a DH bat, yeah, he'd be interesting, and I think that would make the offense better. It would be an upgrade, but he's pretty limited in the outfield. It would have to be literally DH. It's another righty bat. Padres need lefty bats. And I think there's going to be competition for JD Martinez for sure from other teams. And I don't think that's a guy that you go like, I think it's kind of like a Jung-hoo Lee thing where you set a number and you don't go higher than it. You make the offer, and if not, then he goes to another team. And that's that. Annabella asks, how realistic is it to get Jorge Soler? I don't know how realistic it is, because I think like a team like the Blue Jays, if they don't want to get Bellinger, or they don't get Bellinger, let's say, I think that they are in prime position to go land Jorge Soler, because they got to get someone for that offense. And the Padres, financially, where they're at, do they want to give Jorge Soler $16 million a year, let's say? I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that's Somewhere around that is what Jim Bowden put in The Athletic for his prediction this morning. 16 mil, 14 mil, whatever. Do they want to give that to Jorge Soler? Because if they do that, that's like he can play the outfield, but really right field, and Tatis is in right. I guess they could put him in left, but it's really a DH bat. And I believe he's a righty. But, I mean, he hits some tanks for sure. So if they sign Jorge Soler, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, man, what a crappy signing. But I don't know how well he fits the Padres team financially, being a right-handed bat, being limited, it seems like, positionally. I don't think that's too realistic, landing Jorge Soler. Yeah, Phil Nevin, bench coach. I mean, I'd be interested in that. Maybe even third base coach. We'll see. I thought the coaching staff would have been announced already. All right, that's it. Talking Friars episode 537. SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your order. There's a bunch of different sporting events and concerts going on, so please use that to your advantage, even not in Major League Baseball season. Underdog Fantasy, 100% deposit match up to $100. There's pick'ems on there, a bunch of sports going on. So use that to your advantage. And Foco, Breaking Tea, they've got some Padres holiday gift ideas. Breaking Tea has some Padres, Aztecs, and Wave shirts and sweatshirts, and Foco has some Padres bobbleheads as well. That's it. We'll see what happens with this Padres team. More names coming off the board. What is AJ Preller going to do? That's the golden question. And we'll see. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate all of you.